Scotty and Boaz Rehash, episode 18.
And we are back with the Clash of Clans for the fans in the stands. This is Boaz, Baby Boaz, and Scotty Ocho Dosiete.
Wow.
How's it going, Scotty?
Breaking up the Spanish.
I had that one locked and loaded. I
Espanol.
forgot to think of something in advance, so I went to one I had in the arsenal.
Oh, very nice. So we're back talking about stuff. We didn't really get to anything we really super were wanting to talk about. Last episode, and I do want to, one thing I do want to remember to talk about is advice for you to go into 10 if you ever get there.
Oh, okay, nice.
Or just something I thought about when I was talking with, or when I was listening to the interview with Jake from OneHive, who I had to say, the clans, the Kryptonian family, and the line chat, in the Kent Farmhouse, in House of L, I haven't been to House of Zod in a while, have really been digging his videos.
Yeah?
And really been utilizing the advice in those videos. It's OneHive Raids, at OneHive Raids on Twitter. But they have been suggesting the videos to everybody. They've been going in, watching them, seeing different attack strategies, trying new things, and it's been really cool. And I think it's really cool how much people, how valuable people found them. So,
it's pretty interesting. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, if you're out there in Radio Land and you want to know, you might have seen the Chief Pat, and this kind of came up in your interview, the Chief Pat and everybody, the big YouTubers, they do particular, strategy ones, but Jake does a lot of really customized attacks specific to a base. And I watch some of them, not as many as I'd like to. But I was saying about how good it is to watch before you attack, even if you're not using that army. You might not go, I'm going to use that on this base, or, might not even be in your range. But it kind of takes you a step back and before you go do an attack, and it kind of slows things down a little bit, where you're thinking about it more in terms of hit points and damage per second and just different ways of thinking about stuff. And so I found if I watch a couple videos, like maybe the day I'm going to attack, or just try to get in that mindset, because you're switching between farming mentality and war mentality or pushing mentality. And so it just kind of helps to put it in perspective. And I think everybody's been that have been watching him and Hulk, Hulk Files, in Predator, there's somebody mentioned some attacks by Predator, and so I went and checked him out too. But it's some really good advice, and you get to kind of see the things in action, and we talk about it on the air, but just to be able to see people kind of stop or plan their attacks or think about things, it's like, oh, okay, I see what people are talking about or getting at. So big shout out to Jake, because probably the most talked about right now.
Well, yeah, I that's of all the interviews, that's by far and away the most reaction I've gotten is to the Jake interview. Just tons of just people saying, not only how much they enjoyed it, especially people that are already fans of his, but how watching his videos just changed the game for them. Wow, now that I watch his videos, I see the game in a completely different way. It's a serious game, it's a beautifully balanced game. It's not just a little, kids iPhone game where you go and spam troops or whatever. It's a complicated game, and so
right.
It's interesting to see people just their whole, vision about Clash of Clans changes by watching it, which is, but so here's the thing. So, when we recorded it, I think Christmas Eve or something, or, the 23rd going into the 24th, he had 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. He now has 8,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Wow.
And this is almost exactly a month later. So yeah, he is blowing up, and I wish I could take credit for it, for getting his name out there. But by the time our interviews dropped, he already had 6,000. So he was, people are really, and it's all word of mouth stuff. There's not any, he doesn't, do iTunes giveaways, or he doesn't do, any advertising or like spamming of, promotional stuff, or I don't know, whatever. However other people get stuff out there, you just see all the time people, just shamelessly promoting their channels in different ways, and he just doesn't. It's all grassroots word of mouth stuff. And I
can see how, because it's spreading through the clans, and I've not seen. Usually when people are talking about, oh, did you see the video? It might be a new troop update. And I've heard way more about it, and just kind of, oh, yeah, and I think I've seen it in the planning in attacks in terms of even online saying, I know Moose showed a camp, and he had put on there how he was planning on attacking, and he used a paint program to kind of show his stuff, and he goes, here's what I was thinking, which was cool. And, we strategized a little bit, and he kind of, asked for advice, and it didn't go right. But we learned a lot because we were talking about it in chat in Kent Farmhouse. And I think this is worth bringing up. But he was talking about, and I have the pictures here because I screenshotted it. We're talking about the bubbles around the troops and what they can see.
Oh yeah, Hulk talks about that. That's some newer, next level stuff that I've been starting to notice that by talking to Hulk and stuff. It's really interesting.
So we started talking about it, and we invented it basically. No, just kidding.
No. I mean, I've never heard it talked about as bubbles. Hulk kind of talks about it as like almost like a voice range, like when one troop like calls out to other troops and stuff like that once they get in a certain range of something and stuff like that. So I haven't heard it referred to as bubbles like that, or just kind of aggro range and stuff, I guess is how other people
what is aggro?
Say it. But
I know
aggro is like,
and I know what you mean, but
and it's also one of those things that I know what it means, whereas defining it is, but I can try to define it. So it's like what would it be short for? I thought about that the other day. Well, fans and stands, if I don't think of it, tell them what aggro is short for. But yeah, it's like when something gets in with the range, of something else. So say like the Barb King, he notices things within a certain radius. If you go within that radius, then he aggroes onto your troops. And so aggravate, maybe aggravate them, and so then they come at you.
So here's how it started. It started because of that attack that he shared online, and this is Moose, but Uda in Kent Farmhouse, and we talked about, well, if you sent in your hogs to lure, and it looked like this archer tower would be within this circle. From the clan castle.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, I saw the screenshot of that. That's so frustrating.
And it didn't go. And I thought, and it came up because all of a sudden, so he said, here it goes. I said, I'm not sure if it's a dome shape over the top or if the circle is just a circle, because it almost seems like sometimes like things can go over that. But if they're up high, it's like they're not quite hitting it.
No, it's a cylinder rather than a dome, because balloons have a better chance of luring things, because like say a barb goes right up next to it, right, or right up onto it. Or right up next to it. The giants, and
we're talking about the clan castle circle when you we're
talking exactly. Okay. So the golems, and I think maybe the giants, they stand a step back from the building
because they're hitting it.
Because they're larger and they're reaching out to hit it. So if you look at the little squares, barbs go up to the square that's adjacent to the building. Golems are on the square that's 2 squares adjacent to the building, whereas balloons, because they drop things directly on top of it, they go, I believe, 1 square in from where the building is. So if you're looking to lure and I think hogs probably do the same as barbarians. I think they go right up next to it. And so I think balloons have a slightly higher chance of luring because they go a little bit deeper in towards the defense when they're
right over top.
Yeah.
So
but it's not like right over top though. It's like in front and above, and in a little, it's not right directly on top, but it's in a little bit. So yeah,
it's not directly over top of them.
No, it doesn't go all because that's something you'll see the line going say 3/4 of the way through the defense, or I don't know, something like that, where the other troops definitely can't get it. But if the balloons went on top, the shadow was directly in the middle. And I'm pretty sure here, I guess, if someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that if they were dropping, because it's a 3x3, if they were dropping their bombs into the middle square, I don't think the clan castle and stuff reacts as if they were dropping it in the middle square. I think they reacts as if they're dropping it on one of the edge squares, I think. So people might be able to help us with that. But I think the shadow
wouldn't drop it in the corner
on one of the 8 outer squares rather than in middle square.
Okay. So he didn't get the lure because of that. And so he started kind of talking about that, and he said, it's circle is a circle as far as he could tell. Mm-hmm. And then we started talking about the different troops in the ranges, and like you said, like Hulk said, and all of a sudden I started to think about it because I went and did a raid in the middle of it, and my king, activated his ability, and when I activated his ability, I'm like, what if it's that rage circle? The things that he could see, and the same with the queen. Was like, okay, well, why does she go to this when this might be the nearest? But if you had a circle around her, the nearest might actually not be what we think it is because, of a wall being there versus, or if the wall's out just far enough, she picks the wall instead of shooting over it.
And another X factor that Hulk talked about that I never knew about is that when one troop is getting hit by clan castle troops, it sends, he called it as like a crying out, like sending a cry, but basically it attracts other troops to help it. Like, so if clan castle troops are attacking a golem, the other troops nearby will drop what they're doing to come and help it, which wouldn't be the
Same
case.
with king and queen. I've seen my king and queen do some pretty weird shit lately.
Mm-hmm. So it's as soon as the clan castle troops deal, damage to it, do one hit to it or one arrow to it, then the other people turn from, the cannon or the barracks or whatever they're hitting and then come towards it.
And before we keep going with this, I do want to say that those little skeletons traps are starting to become a real problem.
Yeah, I know, right?
I've seen a lot of weird shit with that too, where minions have completely went screaming across the board, and maybe it was because a troop has been hit. So that might be it too, where it's like, okay, wait, now, and I've seen dragons take off in weird directions. And so
they're especially like any kind of clan castle troops or distracting balloons or something like that is especially bad for dragons because it's so, particular where you have to place them to get them to go on the path that you want them to go to.
Right.
So if there's an X factor that makes them deviate from their path, then it's just you no longer have any control over them, and then they're going to go, wherever they want to go instead of following the funnel that you created for them. Dragons
they're slow
especially
with attention deficit disorder, and that's not a good combination because it's like, hey, I'm going over here. Okay, yep, go over there. Just get in there. Okay, I'm going. What is that? A skeleton? And then they turn and look, and then it's like, oh, let's go over here. Oh, I've seen some weird things. But in watching those replays and looking at that and talking about that with Udon Moose, he said, I know each troop has a sight bubble moving to the nearest structure preferred in that range. And he said, I think the AQ, I was one thing. Aqua Queen, but it's Archer Queen sees the farthest, which is why she wanders. And I said, never thought about it.
And she probably sees the farthest because her range is the farthest of any troop. Yeah.
And
well, no, her in terms of her her damage, her bolts shoot farther than any other troop. Like they shoot several spaces farther than the next largest, which I think wizards and archers are and witches maybe too, I think are all pretty much the same. And then the archer queen is way farther than them.
And I almost wonder, because I've seen her go like, so there might be an opening in the wall and she's right next to the clan castle, but her nearest thing would be to go up and around. And so she'll shoot a little bit farther than she would have, because, so I think that might factor in. And I'll keep looking, but then I'm like, well, look at it. If you think about it, well, the barb has probably the smallest little bubble, can see about 2 feet in front of him.
Yep.
I think the giants or the dragons don't have the best bubble either. I think they've got a very small bubble to the next target. Like, okay, that's in sight, because I've seen them turn when 2 of them are almost on the exact same spot to 2 different things. And it's like, well, what makes it go? So I started thinking about it, and it's a lot of food for thought, because as I start to watch the thing, cogs, it's easy to see because it's like, and giant, it's the nearest defense.
You understand the AI of those kind of guys more than the AI of the other troops, where it's kind of unspecified or unwritten AI, like the ones where it's like, goblins go for storages, hogs and giants and balloons go for defenses. Then the other ones tend to be a little more complicated once you start to get closer to the things, because it's like on the outside, how to barch, you throw the bar, where they're going to go because it's pretty apparent. But when all of a sudden things are kind of like you're inside the base and they're on a microcosm, you can almost start to think, well, yeah, why would they flip to this? Because sometimes it's not quite so clear. And so I kind of, I'm going to keep thinking about that and try to figure out, or just look at what happens in certain attacks and maybe why. And those, I think my skeleton traps might be moving around some places because, it's kind of like the CC troops, like they cry out. And I'm going, well, how could I distract those other troops more, using those skeleton traps? If I can steer the dragons, especially if you're at Town Hall like 7 or 8, when you get hit with an all dragon attack, it's like, well, maybe the skeleton traps should be on the outside. So that way, if the dragons steer off and, somebody drops their hero, all of a sudden the dragons are going to turn or something. I don't know. I've just seen the weirdest things, and it's like I got to process and try to figure out what is actually going on, But I think 2 common places that people do it are by wizard towers, for one thing, because with a wizard tower, if people get held up there, then they're taking that splash damage, unless it's a large hit point troop, or near the archer queen, because so many compositions involve taking out the archer queen. Like now people have been like putting their archer queen right in the middle of their base and stuff, like instead of that, like caring a lot more than the town hall. Like the archer queen is what they need to protect the most, because like with hogs or with lava loon, you need to take her out, or you want to take her out in order to guarantee a more successful attack. And so people have been really heavily protecting their queen. Like I put my king in front of my queen, so you have to go through the king to get to her, and I put my skeleton traps around her and stuff, so it's pretty interesting how important she is.
Yeah, and how those traps, like I didn't see a lot with the traps before, but I think people have leveled them up. I think that they first got out there, people weren't leveling them, and that's why I'm wondering. And these are in attacks at lower levels, especially, where I've just seen minions. They take off. They wander like a quarter away across the base, like just a weird dash, and it's like it's just something to pay attention to and kind of look around and see how those traps are affecting the troops. And I don't know if there was adjustments made to their AI or something.
It could be.
But there's definitely been some weird stuff going on. Not only are they remaking Ghostbusters, but the skeletons are rising from the dead and doing some weird shit. So the other thing, like, if you go to 10, when you go to 10, I was thinking about how, I guess, like, you know, like, when you go to 10, I don't know if for you, you'd want to throw everything on the base first.
Oh, so this brings us to war maximization.
Yeah.
So I just upgraded my 8 to 9, and I rushed it. I didn't Boaz it. I ran out of elixir upgrades, and so I went up because the thing is, so the only reason I went up is because now you can put elixir into walls. Like in the past, I stayed at Town Hall 8 for longer because I knew that, you know, like, 'cause I had max elixir storages for a long time at Town Hall 8. But I knew that once I got to Town Hall 9, I'd just have max elixir storages again after a little while. So I didn't, you know, I was just like, elixirs, you know, so invaluable, you know, not invaluable, so not valuable to me. So, you know, it doesn't matter. But now every time I have a max elixir storage, I look at it and I'm like, man, those are like Legos right there that are in my elixir storages that once I'm at Town Hall 9 and I have my troops done, I can do Legos with those. So now it's no longer useless. You know, it's no longer something that I don't mind seeing just disappear into the atmosphere. So that being said, I'm going up and I'm going to work on heroes and troops and walls, and so not work on defenses. So I'm going to keep the same defenses the way they are. I might upgrade some. I'm going to have to think about whether I want to put level 1 expos on the board or not. That's going to be a decision I'll have to make. I need to find out the numbers and how all that stuff works. But yeah, so then people are really going to get on me. So that's why I want to have a guest on to explain this stuff, so I don't get a bunch of crap from people. But this is the new thing, war maximization. There was a clan, so this is the absolute extreme of it. A clan, so kind of an in between. A thing that a lot of people are doing is what Hulk did. He went to Town Hall 10, and he didn't build any defenses, but he is doing his heroes, his walls, and his troops. And so the idea is that then he's a Town Hall 9 that can attack like a Town Hall 10. And so in the algorithm, in the war matchup, the way he, you know, is factored in is a Town Hall 9, because his thinking is that if he immediately puts Infernos down and doesn't have good Town Hall 10 troops and good Town Hall 10 attacking skills, he's immediately like
this is in war.
Sorry. This is in war. Okay. So I should preface this, and thank you, Scotty. All of this only relates to war. None of this makes any sense if you're just farming or pushing. None of this. Because I was talking about in the line chat, and Nat's like, "This sounds like the stupidest shit I've ever heard." And I was like, "Yeah, it's only if you only care about war. Like if you're farming, pushing, you know, you want to get your Infernos out as quick as you can and stuff. But this relates to how you factor into the war algorithm, and
which would be good for second accounts if you were playing.
Definitely. You know, yeah, exactly. And so the idea is, and the way Hulk's looking at it, which there's another way to look at it, which is a lot more extreme. But the way he's looking at it is that if you put down all your Town Hall 10 defenses, then for a while you're hurting your clan because you are, you know, a Town Hall 10 in terms of the matchups, and yet your troops aren't leveled up to the point where you're a Town Hall 10, you know, because as soon as you get the Infernos down, your thing jumps up, you know, and then as you level them up, so your attacking skills aren't keeping up with your defensive skills. So if you keep the defenses low by doing things you're going to do anyway, walls and heroes, while you're doing your troops, then, you know, as you're building up your attacking skills, you're not hurting your clan. You're still a Town Hall 9. The game still thinks you're a Town Hall 9, but you have the troops to attack as a Town Hall 10. So anyway, that seems pretty cool. That seems pretty straightforward. So here's the extreme the extreme version of it. Here's where some cool idea, a straightforward cool idea can go, people can just
horribly
take it
wrong.
So far. Well, not horribly wrong, but just so far to the extreme. So hold on a second. So there was a war, and I guess I don't want to go into names of clans because one of these clans is known for exacting vengeance upon people and stuff. And so I'm not going to go into naming any names or anything because I don't want to get on the wrong side of someone that's going to try to mess with me or whatever. But so there was this war between two of the most famous clans, and I guess people out there are going to know who I'm talking about because they're very famous. But
your intention is very clear.
Yeah, my intention is clear. I'm not trying to call anyone out. I'm not trying to say anything negative about anyone. So two of the top 5 mixed war clans, or at least non-Asian ones, I guess I don't know that much about the Asian ones, met in a war. And so one of the guys... So a lot of people are doing this thing where they call it being a 9.5. If you're have Town Hall 10 troops but Town Hall 9 defenses, you're a 9.5.
Okay.
So there's this one guy in one of the clans who had level 40 heroes. He had all level 11 walls, all max blue walls. And his defenses were Town Hall 7 defenses.
Oh, my God.
And so he factors he totally whacks out the algorithm. He factors into the algorithm very low. I'm not sure exactly whether it's a low Town Hall 9 or if it's at a Town Hall 8 or, I don't know exactly how. Because I think the algorithm does factor in troops to some extent too. But so he factors in the algorithm very, very low, but he can 3-star top bases because he has all max troops and max heroes. He can 3-star
army camps.
Yeah, and then army camps and everything except for defenses. So in the eyes of the matchmaking system, he's a much lower level guy than he actually is. So the flip side is that he is vulnerable on defense. It requires having a good base design and just taking advantage of the defensive buildings you have, taking advantage, I'm sure, of your heroes in your clan castle a lot. But because the matchmaking says walls don't matter and heroes don't matter much, then it's a huge advantage.
Right. So he's keeping his defensive camp low for the rankings, for the war matchup. But his offense just rocks.
Yeah, his offense is max. So here's the thing though.
It's here's a pro baseball team having a little puny baseball field or something. It's kind of, I guess, maybe not.
Well, it's like a amateur baseball team, having a guy on steroids or something, basically. But not that there's anything wrong with doing this. I don't want to get into anyone's bad side. No, I mean this thing that I'm talking about. So here's the thing. This is the thing that really,
smart, actually, kind of.
Yeah, there seem to be some kind of moral implications, but I think not everyone, but lots and lots of people are doing it now. It's becoming much more common, so it's not
till Supercell changes the war matching algorithm.
Yeah, which they should have done so long ago. Hopefully this gets them to do it a little bit because it's so dumb the way it is. But it does say that if you don't care about farming, or wherever your place is, and you want to customize your spot in a war. Mm-hmm. That it's kind of a benefit. It'd just be you probably get a downside to one part of the game, but a plus side to the one other side of the game. Yeah, and if you don't care at all about pushing or farming, or if you have multiple accounts, say you have a regular account and maybe this is even his second account. Maybe his regular account is all max defenses max walls and stuff. And this is his second account where he decided to do the war maximization on it. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the final cherry on top. On prep day, on prep day, he builds infernos, right? So when the matchup happens, he has no infernos. On prep day, he builds infernos. Then when now if you start building a defense, then it goes on your board right away. I think at the very beginning, it didn't go on the board until you had finished it, maybe. But at some point or maybe it's been like this the whole time. Like if you start building an archer tower, then you can go and place it on your war map, and it's as if it's done. And I think that's only for when they're being built. I don't think it's for when they're being upgraded. I think when they're being upgraded, you still have to wait, although I'm not positive. But so this guy in the war, he built infernos on prep day. So he didn't have them when war started. So it the matchmaking knew him as someone that didn't have infernos. He builds them on prep day, then cancels them on war day. So during when the match. No, they're not locked. So they're exactly. They're locked into his war base, and then when the next matchmaking session happens for the next war, he doesn't have them. So every time, and he probably only builds them when it's a tough war. But so theoretically,
that would be a lot of gold to spend.
Which I hadn't thought about it like that. When I mentioned the line chat, everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's flushing so much gold down the toilet," and I was like, "Oh yeah." But I mean, I guess if all of his stuff's maxed, then gold, is useless to him anyway, or all the stuff is max that he wants to max. But so yeah, builds Infernos. So he has level 1 Infernos during the war. Then, next time they do matchmaking, he no longer has them. He's I don't know what it is, a Town Hall 8 or a low Town Hall 9 in the matchmaking scheme. Probably higher because of the troops and stuff. But yeah, so he has Infernos, then deletes the Infernos. So that just seemed like the absolute pinnacle of this whole process is having is messing with the system to the point where you have a defense that you didn't have, because that happens where people it just serendipitously you didn't start you're about to start an expo when the matchmaking comes up, then prep day begins and you build the expo that you were going to build anyway or whatever.
Right.
That just happens sometimes, and people are like, oh cool, this happened, that gave us whatever advantage. But this intentional way of doing it, and I think really if you were in like a war that you cared super super a lot about, then maybe you would just on prep day just build the Infernos, gem them to max, gem all your defenses to max, and then you'd be a max Town Hall 10.
Oh my god!
But then
how expensive would that be? I mean,
yeah, it would be really. I mean, then and also there would be no going back. Then you could never be you could never have those level 7 defenses again. So,
and I thought if you went up, because I thought, because you said when we talked, and then in your interview with Jake, and so there was overlap. Like we talked after you and Jake had done the interview.
Yeah. But before the interview came out, because I remember being like, I'm not going to reveal who the guest is and stuff.
Yeah. And so I thought, well, because you had mentioned something about pressure, and I thought, one way to handle that, because my first thought is this: you're going to have these high level walls, and then you're going to probably sick to your stomach when you go to Town Hall 10, and you've got 25 more walls. Is that, I can't remember.
No, you don't get any new walls at Town Hall 10.
Are you sure?
Yeah, you stay with the same amount of walls. Yeah, it's because every time you go up a Town Hall, you're like, oh, damn it, now I have all these. Oh, that reminds me, now that I went to Town Hall 9, I have to build a bunch of new walls on my Town Hall, on my mini.
Are you positive?
Yeah, Town Hall 10, you don't get new walls.
Because I thought, okay, but that kind of got me thinking too, like, and it kind of went to that space, was like, well, we've always said, like me and Boneyard, we always like, put your shit down, get that other defense out there. And that was, pre-war really. But still, that was like, that's a distraction, right? A defense is going to hold off, something else for a while. But really what you could do it is one thing at a time. Just boom, go to max.
Yeah, take it to
the
max.
Next thing,
Yeah.
boom to max.
Or you could put down level 1 towers and then use them as bait for balloons and hogs and giants in some way. That'd be kind of cool if you designed it so that, I mean, they're useless buildings in terms of the damage they do, but they're lures to those kind of troops. So that's
what
kind
we've
of a
always
cool
said.
way of doing it.
That I guess I went into the whole wall thought. I'm like, okay, he's going to get more walls, and then it's going to be like, oh god, I've got to get these up.
Oh,
but
yeah,
if you
that
don't have
would
to
have
do
been a
that, I mean, you could whenever I've gone up at town hall, it's like I get all my defenses out there and use them as lures. Like I know when we got the new cannon with the one update this fall. It was, all right, get my cannon. It's not going to be really worth something. It's going to be upgrading for a while. So I'll put it on the outside. That will draw in, if you're coming from this way, it's going to be a target for giants or golems while other things hammer it. Mm-hmm. It's like free. Okay. Yeah. So maximizing your place in war.
Yeah. So like the opposite of what happens in L, which is why you guys have such tough matchups, is that you have high level Town Hall 10s that have all of the stuff out on the board, which is the normal way of doing it in any before war. There was no reason not to. I mean, having max defenses was as important as having max offenses, which actually I just was firing up the game and that came on, that little blurb at the beginning. Upgrading your defenses is just as important as having strong offenses. And so I'm going to tweet that screenshot to Hulk because it kind of cracks me up. But yeah, it used to be that was, and still, if you're not only concerned about war, that's the case. I mean, your defense is important in terms of protecting your resources or, when you're pushing or farming or whatever it is, your defense is super important. When you're in war, your defense is important, but your defense hurts you also. So in farming and pushing, it doesn't hurt you in any way. There's no downside.
Well, it hurts it marks your clan. I mean, because like you said in that interview, the straight across doesn't really necessarily pertain, because it's about where your defenses are. Yeah. But it puts your clan in a different rank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And so then the other way of looking at it though is like we like having challenging wars, and so it's kind of a tricky thing then, because then it would theoretically make your matchups less challenging. But actually, what I've been realizing, like, it's pretty funny. Everyone always gets on me about being, such a ridiculously, high wall Town Hall 9 or whatever, being a Town Hall 9 with max defenses. And so I think most of the Town Hall 9s in my clan have max defenses. So they're like, oh my God, you have, I have like 15 lava walls now or whatever. My heroes are about 20. And I'm like the fifth Town Hall 9 on my war map.
Yeah, so I heard that in the interview and I thought, wow.
So I mean, if they think that I'm Boazing my Town Hall, you do not want to see the guys in my clan with like mostly lavas and level 25 heroes and stuff. Like then you'd really have a fit. So yeah, I kind of thought that was funny.
Something that I thought, and because I had listened to the interview with Jake from OneHive today, with Boaz Presents episode 4, parts 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. You talked about like clans, and I've been kind of thinking about this, and maybe it's from something that we talked about too. So it's been kind of bumping around in my head, but I really think that they need Supercell. If you're out there, this is the most logical progression that you could have, and this was given in part because of the matchup with Kent Farmhouse and trying to match up against
Phantom Zone.
Was the idea that I really believe this is the next step. It makes complete sense in terms of the game, but Clan War League.
Because no, yeah, definitely.
If you said so every clan right now, and I'm, I'm going to declare this. I see this in the future.
I think it's my number one desire. My number one request for an update in the game is to have clan war leagues. I think that's
it because of this. If your clan all of a sudden you want to win a bunch of clans, or you want to think about how you rank compared to other people. If you're in, the wins should be in this clan war league. Total wins in this league, so that way you could look at it and say, all right, well, we could possibly get a matchup. Our clan is in, silver or not silver. We might be Masters 1 league. If they went on that scale, it kind of would make sense to go on that type of scale where you could, we're a Masters 3 league. And we're faced off against a Crystal 1 league, where you might be in the same range, but you can kind of see matchup wise, you'd have a visual or a representation of that algorithm, how they base it. And it's kind of like when you go up, against, when you're pushing or, you're farming, you go up against another person. Well, you would be identified because your defenses and your troops would put you in that, not necessarily like trophies, no, not trophies at all. But it would also say, okay, we're up against this tough clan, but they're ranked in this league. That means somehow it's figured out that all their people together make this thing. But it would make those wins for like people like Reddit troopers a different win than a clan that was all Town Hall 8s. I mean, a win is a win right now. It doesn't matter where you're at.
Well, no, I mean, some wins are definitely, like, for instance, these two clans that matched up, I mean, that win was way more important than any other war that especially one of them I don't think has ever had a war that's that, important or that intense. But
it would give a prestige to having a tough clan. The war, like we face off against some clans we just beat an L, a clan with 111 war wins. And we beat
awesome.
And we beat them good. And they weren't nearly, they were close to as strong, but I think they would have been in a different league. Like, I think, because you look at some people you get in a war with and they've got tons of wins.
So you're saying the league is based on the town hall levels and like the defenses and offenses, or your history of how well you've done in wars in the past?
It would be it'd be the representation of the makeup of your entire war thing. So it would be, think of it this way.
So it would be the exact same war algorithm they use, except there would be a visual visualization for it. Okay. This clan war, your clan is Masters 3. Because you've got a lot of high level people and you got a lot of low level people. Well, so then maybe 5 people leave. Well, all of a sudden you're in a different league. So you're 35 against 35, but you maybe went up. So you're going to have a stronger war. So you get to start to see in the matchups that representation of the league. So let's say instead of some clan with 111 war wins, that would still be there. But then you match up against something like, well, they're one league below, so they probably get matched up with lower people. Or you know what I'm saying? No, I know what you're saying, and you can figure that out just by glancing at the clan. I mean, you can figure out just by looking at their town halls, and the representation is the amount of war loot that you get for each town hall. So you can look and say, oh, like this one, we're underdogs, they have way better stuff than us, or this one, this clan has lower town halls than us, we have a big advantage or whatever. So, I mean, you can already look at that. And I think the reason Supercell doesn't have any kind of like visual representation of it or any just like overt, symbolism of how strong something is because then people are going to complain even more about being overmatched. Oh, great, we're a Crystal 2 and we got matched up against a Masters 3, like those fucking matchmaking, blah blah. Right now there's no, you just get each other, and
yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, I'm like,
well, what I meant when I say clan war leagues is like clans that are good enough being in like a league where you like, on this date you face this, everyone has a win-loss record within this league, for this, for this 1 month or for the first half of 2015, you all face each other, people that are in a certain division, a certain skill level for whatever kind of makeup of town halls that you have. And then they all play each other, and then they have a record and then they go to the playoffs and, stuff like that. Like that's what I mean by.
Well, and when you were saying that, I started to think, well, maybe the other part of it is this, is that, so to factor in, how do I put it? To factor in, now it's getting really complex. But another way to think about it would be to say, okay, well, all right, yeah, the clans get put in these leagues based on wins, and as the more wins you get, the tougher the opponents you face. Mm-hmm. And so it starts to balance out, like kind of like you do in trophy pushing, like to get to champs, you have to have this many wins, but you're going to start to face harder and harder people. Mm-hmm. People with as many wins as you, or, based on strength. But then that way you get like these clans that, we have constantly tough matchup after tough matchup. And some clans face people that give up, Mm-hmm. I think we had one. And it's like, and our wars are so close all the time. And it's like, it's always tough. And we could be battling. We could be in a rank, in a certain level where, I don't know, there's just ways to do it. I like your idea, but at the same time, that's like a lot of like, okay.
Well, I think the matchmaking would have to be subjective. Like there'd be someone that have to look at it and say that these clans are this good, I'm going to put them in this division. Like, 'cause if you let a computer decide it, people are just going to exploit it the way that they, are doing it already. Like you want someone that can, a committee that says these clans are this good after watching their replays and knowing their reputation or whatever. But actually, I wanted to say one thing before I get like persecuted.
Hold on.
This war that one of the people built Inferno, someone I think on both sides did the thing where they built the Infernos. So before people jump all over me and say I was favoring one side or the other, I think both sides did that. So, So
for
not
the record,
siding
I have
with
no
anybody
idea who's
here.
talking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do know who I'm talking about, though. So we're not taking sides here on the Clash Clans podcast, just reporting on what happened. And I think
Boaz is
both
reporting
sides
on it, not
did
me.
that. Boaz is reporting.
Boaz turns around and I'm not there. But you know what? One other thing though, what would change things is if people could select two participants to willingly go up against each other. Mm-hmm. If you could opt in to declare war against another clan, kind of like the Kent Farmhouse and Phantom Zone, instead of relying on just trying to do it and letting the war algorithm do it, is to say, you know what, we want to face off against this clan.
That's so funny that you bring that up. So lots of clans do that, right? Where they and I wasn't even going to go into this, but Scotty led me to this, so I got to talk about it. Lots of clans do that where you both want to face each other, so you match up, your clans so that you have equal town hall levels, equal numbers, blah blah blah, and then you hit it at the exact same time. So that's pretty common. There's a new thing where one clan decides that they want to face off against a different clan, and the other clan doesn't decide to. So what you do is you look at their clan, you figure out all of the town hall levels and everything that are in their clan, right? And so this war that happened, that we're not taking any sides,
that I have no idea about.
That Scott has no idea about.
Actually, I really don't.
this war that happened, one of the clans decided that they wanted to face off against the other clan, and the other clan didn't. The other clan just said, it's like, well, we don't, do intentional matchups against people. It causes, drama, causes problems. We just want, a war without having.
I mean, you really. Oh God, I still can't believe there is an intentional match.
Yeah. So this is a thing. So one of them is just like, no, we're not going to match up against anyone. That's what they answer to anyone who wants to match up against them. But so this clan decided that they wanted. So it's called hunting or ambushing of a clan, where you take your clan, you adjust the members so that your clan has the exact same algorithm strength as their clan. And so in this case, the one clan, they actually made a spreadsheet where they totaled all of the strengths of the one clan and then created their clan based on what the makeup of the other clan was. So they made a spreadsheet with a diagram, and they had numbers assigned to all the people. And I only glanced at it, so I'm guessing this is how they did it. Numbers assigned to everyone, and then they made sure that they exactly mathematically mirrored the other clan. So that's only one part of it. So now you have a clan that's identical. So the chances of being matched up are very high, but you still have to push the button at the same time. So because one of the clans has a lot of people on Twitch streamers, you can see when they are pushing their button, or you can get an idea of it, or maybe they have, a visitor in the clan or something. I don't know, there could be different ways of doing it, but exactly when they push their button, and then, maybe when they cancel and restart their search. So you're in your clan are pushing the button, canceling it, pushing it, whatever, at the exact same moment that the other clan is. And you have the exact same makeup.
But how do you know that they're pushing it?
There's maybe you're telling from the Twitch streams, maybe you have someone inside their clan, but I don't know. I'm just guessing. But maybe you probably just judging from the Twitch streams, seeing when their wars end, then based on when their war ends, then you hit the button, when they end their war or whatever.
Okay.
And so,
well, I suppose because you guys push, like a lot of people push the button right after you're done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we do. We push it right after we're done. And most of those constant war clans push it right after they're done. So they can see on Twitch when their war ends, and they can assume, a couple minutes later, the war, they're going to start it again or start a new one. So then we push it a couple minutes later and match up with them. So I was reading this thing in the forums, and it's not like a secret. This clan has gone extensively into how they do it. They've ambushed many different clans by doing this, by analyzing the amount of members and everything, and formulating a clan. Because I think they have like a family of clans, basically. So from among those clans, they can make temporary clans that are created solely for the purpose of hunting another clan.
Wow.
And so
any detailed information on how to do this, I'm sure people would appreciate it, because
you can find it on the forums. There's threads on the forums. I feel like I shouldn't give out the clan's name.
You
don't want any negative, but it's on the forums that if you look into ambushing clans, setting up intentional matchmaking and stuff, it's on there. It's they're open about it. It's not like a behind this, underhanded behind the scenes thing that they don't want to talk about. They're very open about how they do it. And so now what they're doing is going.
Do they coin the phrase?
And actually,
ambushing?
it's a different clan. I think that has. It's not one of these two clans that has the stuff on the forums about it. It's a different clan that has stuff on the forums about how they create clans. And maybe both of them do it. They might be affiliated in some way. I'm not sure.
But ambushing's like their term.
Yeah, that's their term. I've heard like hunting too. I think on the forums they refer to it as ambushing. And I think a lot, and a lot of clans do it. It's not just this clan. So this is just an example. So I don't want to make it sound like this is the only clan that does this. Lots of clans hunt other clans by trying to match up your
would suck to go to all that work and then not get paired.
Yeah, it would. But I mean, then you still get to have a fun clan war. I mean. But yeah, I bet they're frustrated when they get it. It's like, it reminds me of playing Pokemon, when you're like, you throw out the Pokeball, you want to catch that Pokemon. No, you didn't catch it. It got away.
I've never played it.
I used to love Pokemon. But yeah, so there's a lot of ambushing. And so they, one clan has said on the forums that they're trying to take out the clans on the leaderboards. And so the clans that have, the most wins on the leaderboards there, they make, different, makeups to match up with them and then match up with them and beat them. And, thereby knock them down the leaderboards and everything. And so this is not, I'm not exposing anything. This is all on the forums and stuff. This is all above board. But I just thought that was so fascinating that people, not only is there this thing that Zod and El did, that Kent and Phantom Zone did, where you both cooperatively match up, which clans do that all the time. They intentionally match up with each other. But now that there's this one-sided intentional matchmaking is really interesting. It's really...
like if you could search clans and then go want to war, and you could click on that, and so that if that clan did the same to you...
Also make it 100% likelihood of matching up. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome, actually.
Yeah, each clan... one of the leader, like the leader, co-leader, would have to search and just say, yes, so like the top clans could take on the other top clans by just saying, yeah, we opt in to, we would be for this person. And maybe you click on 5 people, so you've got it with 5 different clans or something, and then if they opt in to you, it's kind of like, Tinder or whatever, where those like dating
good
things,
analogy.
Where you're like, yeah, I like this, or I like, it's a match, like, ooh, you've been paired with. Okay. Well, it kind of makes sense. 'Cause then you could, of course you could also, there could be problems with that, because then you could have people who just have 2 clans and they just have an awesome war record because they don't fight. They just, match each other and then...
Oh, and then one goes down to the other one every time or whatever.
Yeah. But that's why I think so like boring, the league system I don't know. There's got to be something in there where really hard wars, and I guess hard wars is subjective, but it's kind of like the camps. It's kind of like wherever you're at in trophies, and it's like, well, our clan makeup is in this league, so this is how strong we are, and so even in trophies, when you're searching, you get paired against people that are higher than you or lower than you, but some of the people that we go against are higher than us. I mean, obviously, and we beat them, But I think, and so I think that being able to see that and go, okay, all right. These guys are a league above us. All right. This is the big games here. Okay. So maybe we need to vary our matchup or our clan makeup instead of going, all right, should we add a couple TH6s to try to balance this and who we're getting matched up against or what we need to do? It's like, all right, if we took on 2 members, we got put into Masters 2 league. So we're going to probably have a tougher matchup, where you could more accurately adjust your war
agree
makeup.
that would be awesome, but I think there are very intentional reasons why Supercell keeps it all so secret. I think they want to give away as little as possible about
if you can do it on a
matchmaking
spreadsheet
system. No, I know, but I mean, these people had to do a lot. I mean, that's a ton of research to be able to assign numbers to these. Well, I think you assign numbers based on the war loot that you get for beating them, but I don't think that factors in their offenses. But I think they make an assumption that any Town Hall 9s in a high-level clan is going to have max Town Hall 9 troops, so that they can probably do it based on the war loot that way. But I don't know. I mean, it seems very confusing and tricky to me, and sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
but it's really interesting. But so speaking of facing against high level clans or high win clans, True Sons just faced a clan with 132 wins. And to put that in perspective, Team YOLO, the top clan in the world at the time of this war, had 137 wins.
Wow.
So this clan was in, probably the top, I don't know how many, top 20 or 30 clans in the entire world. They were within 5 of the best clan or not the best, but the winningest mixed clan in the world. So man. We were like, oh my God, this is so intense. This is going to be crazy. They were a Vietnamese clan, which I think are notorious for being iModders and stuff. And so we're like, oh, great. That's how they have 132 wins and blah, blah, blah. So we were so, hyped up for this war. I was sure we were going to lose. I was like, they have 132 wins and they're Vietnamese. Like, how can we possibly beat them? So we battled them. We had our best war that we've ever had. We 3-starred every Town Hall 9 and 2-starred every Town Hall 10.
Was it a tough matchup?
It was not that tough.
See, that's what I mean.
They were 132 wins. We beat them by more than like any other clan on our war log, which was very strange. Their bases, they had good bases, but they weren't sometimes you face clans and their bases are, amazing. They didn't have that great of bases, especially if we were able to 3-star every Town Hall 9. But we have so many amazing new members. And it's really weird. It's now all of us, old school True Sons and stuff are like, our best attackers and stuff. There's all like these new guys who are way better than us and stuff. But it's awesome. It's so cool. There are tons of podcast fans, tons of fans of Jake or Halt. We've been featured on their videos on their channel and I think other places on YouTube and stuff that they see us and come over and so it's really it's always been fun having people say, oh, fan in the stands, and I'm like, oh great, here's a fan of the podcast, and they're like, oh, I really fan of you, Boaz, blah blah blah, and they come to the clan. It's way more flattering when there's a person that comes, oh, fan in the stands, I'm a big fan of you, Boaz, and they're like a mind-blowing attacker. And it's like, oh my God, like you are a fan of me? Like I'm a fan of you. Like that's insane. So we've had a lot of people coming over like that. We just had this guy, Whammy, shout out to Whammy, who just came over and got 3 stars in every attack for his first few wars, and Hulk actually came over and recorded some of his attacks and stuff, and when he came over, he's, oh yeah, Boa, I came because I'm a fan of the podcast and stuff, and yeah, so it's really, and there's been a bunch of guys like that are really really good, and it's been more recent that's happened, and so I don't know if it's the Jake interview that sparked a lot of these people coming or what, but it's really a big,
probably both ways.
So yeah, one last thing that I wanted to talk about was this email sent by RMT, and Scotty was thinking that he's also might be Lord Harry Nuts in another clan in the family. With a Z. Awesome name, by the way. And which was a practice war clan. Oh, the baby's grabbing my headphone cord. Not cool, man. A practice war clan. So when Scotty, and it also has implications for the family. So Scotty and Boneyard are going to read the email next time they record. But I just wanted to talk about it because RMT and I had a long talk about it in Phantom Zone chat. And I told him that I would talk about it on the podcast because it's something that I personally have been thinking about as well, which is the idea of, and he goes into detail so they can read the detail because it's really cool. But just the gist is that you have a clan that wars nonstop, but never, and the attacks are never required. You can do whatever you want in your attacks, and it's just to learn and practice attacks, because something that Jake talks about is that you can't practice war attacks while you're farming. It just doesn't work. If you want to find a certain base and practice against it, the odds of finding that exact base are slim. And then also, the clan castle is going to be empty. There's, going to be storages in the wrong place. It just doesn't work. So you could have and RMT called it a lab, which I thought was really cool, like a war lab. And I had this idea previously for my clan made it's kind of like a vacations retirement-ish clan for our members that kind of got a little too busy and couldn't war all the time. And so they all went, or, a lot of people have been going over to that clan. And I had the idea that clan should war all the time because they could just all practice war attacks whenever they wanted, and so people, who aren't active could go there, but also people who are trying to work on attack strategies and stuff could go there and practice different things. The issue that's come up in the past, like in Phantom Zone, we had wars were optional, but then
the war record.
No, not the war record. Maybe it was Kent. I think Kent Farmhouse before I was in Phantom Zone. I think it was when I was in Kent Farmhouse. The wars were optional, but then when a war was close, everyone would be like, "Dude, get your attack in. I want my war loot." Like they're optional. Only half the attacks are getting used or something. So it's just like, whatever. But then it's like, 60 to 60, and the difference between winning and losing is a ton of loot. Then people are like, "Dude, hey, go attack, man!
Yeah,
like I want this loot." Yeah, or just like you're just pressuring people, or talking to in line chat or whatever, and just saying, "Hey, go in and attack." And so in order to make this successful, which is what I said to the leader of the other True Sons clan, was, and people out there don't ask me about this clan or whether you can join this clan. It's not like a feeder clan for the True Sons. It's for established members that need somewhere else to go. So you're not getting into this clan, people out there. So, but I'll go ahead.
I think that, and I talked with Lord Heronets about it too. It is a really, I don't know. I've thought a lot about it ever since we talked, and I think I really like the idea. I love the idea of being able to go and practice, in clan war. But at the same time, this happens, and that's why House of Non was started to be never a warring clan, which I think they're going to do a war, right? Are they?
No, I don't think so. The whole point is not to war. I think having the goose egg on the description is a key to having that clan.
Yeah, okay.
otherwise you're not.
I wasn't sure if they were part of the contest or not.
Oh no, I don't believe so.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
But.
Not.
The thing is if it gets close, then all of a sudden there's that pressure to win. Like, okay, right. Yes, we're a practice war clan until we start with war, until we're about halfway through and all of a sudden we're winning.
Yeah.
And it's the psychological game or the psychological thing that happens. And you're right. I think this happened with, it happens all the time. And I know exactly because it started with Kent, and it was a no obligation war. And then pretty soon, even me, I felt like, oh, crap, we're close. I better really try to go for this one.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't have to war. You can war if you want. And then I saw people getting like, oh, yeah, we're almost there. We're winning. And it was like, okay. And then I'd screw up an attack and whatever. I only did a few wars there, but now we have a no obligation, a fun war on the weekends, which has been awesome because usually like the first attack or, especially because then it's like, you know what, attack whenever you want, no waiting, and we're kind of better at that now. Like, you know what, TH10s, if you want to go right away, sometimes there's a lot, or then 9s too, sometimes there's more strategy and waiting and letting the other team fuck up.
Yeah.
Because
or someone else misses an attack and you clean it up, or
right.
After the base has then been scouted and stuff, and
right, or the other people think that they're winning, and then they get cocky and then they kind of do more risky attacks and not do as well. It depends on the clan, but on the weekend wars, even like last weekend, I think we had, I want to say. Can I see this on the war log? I can't remember what I can see. Our participation, there's only a few people that didn't. And they came back and said, sorry, I missed my attack. We're like, no, you don't need to be sorry. This was a fun war. But the war got close, and all of a sudden it was like, all right, I better really make this attack count, not experiment. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah, and this similar thing happened in Phantom Zone, which I think they're like no obligation to the point where you're not going to get like booted right away for not using them. But I think you are supposed to use your attacks in the Phantom Zone wars, because pretty much everyone uses their attacks, and the wars are they're really good war attackers, and the wars are pretty serious and stuff. Like we had one that was super close, and the leader Bryce tweeted to me, and because I think they were trying to get a hold of me in line chat and I didn't see it, and he tweeted to me and he's like, hey dude, come and get your hog attacks in, like this war is super close. And it was like I came in and it was like tied with like an hour left or something, and so I gemmed 2 sets of troops and went in and attacked, and it was super fun. It's always so fun when it's close like that and everything, and so yeah, any kind of regular clan, it's gonna become like that, because people are competitive, which is good. I mean, I'm a super competitive person like that. Like I like that, but if you have a clan like this, that would have to be the number one rule, the number one tenet of the clan, starting from day one is, thou art never allowed to criticize or encourage or anyone to do a war attack. You can never say to someone, hey, can you do a war attack, or you should do a war attack, or why didn't you do a war attack? Like, if you do that, you'll get kicked out. Like, that would have to be the number one rule.
But here's the thing. If it's a practice war clan, then it's like, you know what? If you don't want a war, then you should go farm. And
yeah, but that's a good point, actually. That's true.
It would really have to be a clan that has a leader.
Yeah, there have to be someone making subjective decisions about it, which is why I thought it would work for the True Sons retirement clan.
Thing. But I see, and I think this is where it gets into it, is that in theory it's really good. In theory, and I like the idea, and there might be a way for it to work.
Yeah, I really love the idea.
But
yeah, it has
I do think it's one of those things, because going to Kent Farmhouse, I saw a lot of people that had been in House of L, and people were talking about how different it is in each of the family clans. Like each has its own personality, its own kind of way of talking, sense of war, everything like that. It just, every clan that you go is different. It's just, there's such a wide variety. I think Botox and people were talking about this. And it's true, because I went over to Kent Farmhouse, and it's people that I know from the line chat, or I know who have been in House of L or House of Zod, where in those clans, and it's its own place, and it's its own way of, and even if it became the idea was to have it structured so that it was a place where people could go and practice attacks, and then maybe be recruited, or like, okay, yeah, you're doing this, but what happens, and I think it's just like a human thing, is that you would become your own. It would just become another. I think, like, unless it was a crafted thing, it would become another family clan that would do that thing, like after just a little while. I talked
about that in special episode like 1 or whatever, when you and I first talked. I talked about the Clash of Thrones family and the downfall of the feeder system, which is that they tried to force people to move up through the ranks. Like, okay, now you're ready to come to this clan. Now you're ready to come to this clan. And people would be like, no, fuck that. I like all my friends are in my clan. I'm friends with all my clanmates. That's what I like about this game.
And people fall into the rhythms of when they donate.
Commodity to be traded among, passed around among your clans and the family or whatever. And so, yeah, that's a natural thing. People just form friendships and stuff and don't want to be separated from each other, but
and some people will go between the clans and getting or have one in the other place and one in the other. So I don't know. I like the idea. I don't know if it would.
I think it could totally work if that's like what you say going in is like, we do not ever, only come here if you want to practice war attacks sometimes. Never tell someone they have to practice a war attack. Never, people like go ahead and attack a base that's already 3-starred. If there's one base that everyone wants to practice, then all 40 in the people in the clan all go attack that one base, like, or those 2 bases. Everybody go attack those 2 bases. Like, just say like, we do not care at all about, like, we go in expecting to lose every war.
Real thing is, maybe that would be the defining thing. It was like, okay, yes, we can do this, but we can never win.
Yeah. Well, but you can't go out of your way you can't like consciously be like, okay, we need to make sure we lose, but you never try to win, basically.
Yeah, but I just think, I don't know. I've seen it
would
happen.
Work if there's strong leadership who say,
it wasn't even Phantom Zone a no war clan for a while.
No, it was a war optional type thing. I think it was farming, optional war clan, and now it's just it's less optional. I think it's required pretty much.
I need to stop by Zod, and I need to stop by Phantom Zone again.
But Zod's a freaking well-oiled machine, man. I had no idea what was going on over in Zod. That place is beast. It's pretty impressive. But yeah, I think this thing could work if the people say, if that's their goal from the beginning, is you can never, try to win. You can never criticize someone about their war attacks or anything ever. And then as soon as someone starts whining and doing that, then you just give them the boot and then make an example.
You have to have a leader very committed to the vision.
Yeah, and Lord Harrynuts / RMT, I think volunteered. I didn't read the email all the way through because I know you guys are going to do that when you and Boneyard talk about it. But I think he volunteered, and he's a strong member of the family in several clans and stuff, and so I think he could handle it, especially if it's his vision and everything. And yeah, I just think it's a great idea. It's a farming clan with like a purpose. It's a farming clan that's very productive.
And I have to stop by House of Nan. I've been over there. I think now I'll travel a little bit more with Xace and kind of see how things are going. But but I'm only doing Xace on my phone, so I hate typing on my phone. Well, we should wrap up, and we've got more to talk about. We'll have to record soon.
Yeah, we didn't get halfway through my list, or probably your list either, so
my furnace is kicking on again because I had to turn it down during the recording sessions, and it just got that cold in the WBSMT radio that it went on. So get a hold of us at WBSMT Radio on Twitter, or ClashClansPodcast.com, or ClashClansPodcast@gmail.com, or
at Truesome Boaz, or TruesomeBoaz@gmail.com, and make sure to go take the survey, please.
Then we can stop saying it.
Yeah, then we can stop saying it and annoying you about it.
Just and go to ClashClansPodcast.com and do survey, and we'll be tweeting out links to it as well. Yeah. So just take 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds, painless. It'll just help us with advertising and keeping the podcast rolling. So
most importantly, call 424-27
Clash. All right, keep it clashy, everybody.
Keep it clashy.
Skilly beep 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 skilly